our next guest, a guest that y'all know, I imagine most of you are here for, frankly. I know you're not here for me. Randall Crowder, the COO of Phunware, ticker, as I said, PHUN. Let's get Randall on the show right now. Randall,
What's going on, Spencer?
welcome to the jungle. How are we doing today?
I'm doing well. My entrance could never, top that exit. Mitch's exit was that was pretty impressive.
Yeah,
I got to step up my game, I think.
the story of my life, man. It's got to step up my game. All right. I would imagine that most of our viewers are familiar with Phunware, at the very least the stock. But for those, I never want to assume that everyone knows everything. So for those that don't know, can you just very briefly just explain the business of Phunware?
Perfect. So started in 2009, mobile software company. Helped large brands establish a mobile presence. Built the first NFL app, NASCAR app, all of Fox's apps. Obviously, we built Trump's presidential app in 2020. So all we did when we did mobile was how do we better engage your customer? And so it wasn't just consuming content, it wasn't just fighting with people on social, but it's how do we gamify everything? That's where the name came from. As a play on words, obviously with fun, but it was applications that exhibit game-like mechanics and behavior. That was our first kind of line of business. And we evolved that and we started doing data enriched media. So it's like if we have software and we can engage you, we can find you and engage you, how can we reach more of you? So we had data enriched media business. Now, more recently, we have a blockchain business. And so if I can find you, engage you, I can reach more of you. Now I want to basically authenticate who I'm talking to, who I'm trying to engage. We have FunCoin to do that. I also might want to incentivize that engagement. I really think engaging you is valuable. I might be willing to pay you for that. Now we have Fun Token to do that, Fun Wallet to manage all of that. And the long-term goal is to establish a decentralized data economy. And so we needed some hardware to do that. So our fourth business unit is Light Technology, which is high performance computing. Everybody always kind of scratches their head with that last one. We can talk about it more. But look, if you love Bitcoin, you love high performance computers because that's the only reason you can Bitcoin. So
I do want to, since you mentioned Light, I do want to talk about that. So you just closed that acquisition of Light, what, a couple months ago now?
yeah, Q4.
Okay, so tell us about that. What does Light do? But more importantly, what does it do for your business?
Yeah, so think about, most people are familiar with Alienware. So think of it like a smaller upstart that kind of does something similar. When you think about high performance computers, you kind of have a couple of personas. You have gamers, traders, streamers, and more recently, kind of miners. But really, I mean, the more meta theme here is if you enjoy software, you love hardware. Software exists at the pleasure of hardware. And a lot of some of the most valuable companies on the planet understood that in a very real way. The only reason you have AWS and all this great cloud infrastructure is because Amazon made the investment to put hardware into data centers all over the world. Only reason we have Bitcoin, like I said, is because somebody made the investment to shove a bunch of high performance computers into warehouses to give us Bitcoin. And so for us, we want to control our value chain. We want to control our infrastructure for what comes next. Doesn't come next tomorrow, but someone will decentralize data, just like cryptocurrencies are trying to decentralize finance. And so to do that, you really need these high performance computers, but we didn't want to shove them in a data center. We want them spread out all over the world. That's true decentralization. What people are missing about what's happening in crypto right now is you have a bunch of points of failure and centralized authorities in the mix. So you have exchanges or you have data centers, and all of those are vulnerable. But what if you could replicate all of that same computing power with just individual computers in houses all over the world and create the exact same capability to interface with kind of this Web3 concept, but Web2 data? That's what Light's going to give us. So hundreds of thousands, millions of computers all over the world running software that will allow us to actually support a decentralized data economy.
Had you considered actually building it yourself?
We don't need to. We just announced this in a press release Q1 this year. We had some very unique strategic relationships that kind of would address supply chain for us. And so for us, it's just faster. The real end game is just to get these high performance computers into homes all over the world of people who are our target market anyways. We love the traders, obviously. Gamers, gaming has led, a lot of what you're seeing in crypto, and what you'll see in the metaverse as well. And so, these are also our target customers that we want to engage. They can actually help, become a liquidity provider in DeFi, or can help, actually do some things and some testing for some proofs of concepts, that we're rolling out. So all we need to do is load our software, load our capabilities onto these computers. That would be a bridge too far. We're brazen and brave, and we're getting into hardware when everybody kind of wonders, what's this whole, position with hardware. But it would be a little bit too far to go full semiconductor and let's build our own computers. We're just taking the parts together. We're an integrator effectively and distributing those, and it's going really well. So it's also a good profitable business unit for us.
I'm just trying to understand where what gets most of your attention. Where is most of the growth? Because traditional software company, you guys build apps. That's easy to understand. You've got this hardware business that you just got into. You've got a crypto business. You're doing the wallet. You've got Fun Token. It's a lot of balls in the air, and I'm just trying to understand where what gets more of your focus right now.
A lot of people knows about me. So, small brief interlude to say, praying for everybody in Ukraine. I know you mentioned, we should maybe, think about, a combined wedding. No, I'm just kidding. She'd kill me, but she is Ukrainian. And so we have a lot of ties back to that. And so I wanted to just, send prayers and thoughts out to everybody out there, and a huge respect to the families of everybody who died on Snake Island. That's some ballsy shit right there, and I couldn't be more impressed. I mean, that's Alamo, Thermopylae kind of stuff. Incredible, and because it is largely not a strategic value, but watching people take a stand like that, which is going to be largely symbolic, that kind of stuff galvanizes the nation. And it's just, I would be remiss if I didn't, take a moment to say, we're thinking about you, and a lot of people are rooting for Ukraine and hoping that this thing ends quickly. But kind of back to your question. So, I spent, after the military, I actually spent a long time in venture capital. And every single time you talk to an angel or a venture investor, they all want to invest in Uber. But then every time they talk to, some entrepreneur who's trying to change the world, they say, whoa, 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 high speed, you're doing too much. Why don't you focus? Google's doing that. Stop. You're doing too much. Well, okay, what do you want? You want to change the world, or do you want to play it safe? So we're not here to play it safe. I didn't give up being a venture capitalist to be at Phunware, and do something small. And so we're swinging for the fences. So every piece of what we have has never been a pivot. It's actually been accretive to one common goal. So this idea of a decentralized data economy in a mobile first world is what all four pieces of our business actually will serve. So again, we think about it. So we got our start building mobile software. So I have mobile architecture that you can license that'll help you engage your customers better. So now I can engage you. Well, part of our mobile architecture is location. So I can engage you not only outdoors, but also indoors. So when you're in a mall, hospital, a hotel, a retail, anywhere, I can engage you both outdoors with GPS and indoors with our location software. Absolutely. So we're industry agnostic, so we have a smart hospitality solution. We're actually launching that at Atlantis in the Bahamas right now. Smart city. We launched our first smart city with Pasadena. Healthcare, Virginia Hospital Center is one of our more recent deployments. Smart workplace. Norfolk Southern is raising the bar for what it means to tech enable the employee experience. And then residential, we do a lot with kind of mixed use residential, things like that. The cool thing about all this, these are not custom apps. These are built on mass, multi-screen as a service, our software architecture that will allow you to license software for mobile the same way you would license a CRM from Salesforce. That's a game changer. When we were doing custom apps, we were getting 20, 30% gross margin. Now we can deploy them faster and with more features and closer to 75% gross margin. So that's that software business. So I can better engage my customers. I can tech enable those journeys. Great. Well, what's happening with data right now is revolutionary and nobody's paying attention. Cookies going away, pixels are going away. Anybody who's ever tried to sell something on Facebook or Facebook themselves, because they just reported earnings, they now understand that the world is tilted on its axis and it's no longer easy to track people and surveil people and use their data and target them. So the holy grail in data right now is first party data, but you have to manage consent. That's what our software was designed to do in the first place. That's what our both our data business and our crypto business is designed to do. It's designed to take people first party, say, hey, I want you to share information with me and I'm going to pay you for it. Simple as that. Someone's making money on your data. Why shouldn't it be you? I'm not trying to hide you from the dark web. I'm not trying to hide you from brands. I'm trying to create a new relationship that puts consumers in control. So every time you like something, share something, click something, do something, you're educating a data set about who you are and what's important to you and actually where you are and what's around you. So we want to basically blockchain enable that whole thing. So if I can find you with my software, now I can authenticate you with crypto. And if I think that what you're doing is valuable to me as a company, I'll even incentivize you to engage with me. Now, take all of that, and if we can create a system that allows people to hygiene and sanitize their own data, and they're getting paid for it, so they're enjoying it, they're keeping their data current, and we're actually contributing to the reason why they're keeping it current because they're getting paid for it. And now they're engaging with brands in a new, unique way that puts them in control. They decide what they want to share and who they want to
Right,
engage
right,
with.
right.
You can begin to create a data set that is more valuable. Then we want to just decentralize it. So we don't want to hold all that data. We want to totally create a different model, which is called a decentralized Oracle network. And that's light. That's where they'll come into play.
All right, so maybe I should have rephrased that question if it is all part of a larger mission and it all gets your attention. But in terms of the business today, and then actually it's two questions: the business today and the business like 3 years from now.
Yeah.
What generates most of your revenue right now, and how do you see that mix changing?
Yeah, right now, coming out of last year, it's still software. At our
Okay.
core, we're still a software business, and people should view us as that. So, software as a service, but with a focus on mobile. And so, all of the industries that you just showed, that's where a lot of our activity is today. It's tech enabling the continuum of care for hospitals. It's hospitality, like Atlantis, wanting to say, look, I got to better engage my customers. I got to drive more profitability. So everybody's doing that, and what people don't understand is a lot of this is like what we've seen in Hollywood, but you've never actually experienced in the real world because it's really hard. We raised over $100 million as a private company to build this. And so it's a very big challenge, but it's simple stuff. It's using your phone to open, the door to your hotel room, using your phone to access elevators, using your phone to do vendor credentialing, or be able to order catering if you're sitting in a conference room, but not have to actually like deal with a bunch of different vendors and a bunch of different logins. So we take, and this is a really important point for Phunware. The cool thing about what we do is we're not one mobile application to replace them all. We're one mobile application to rule them all. So when people work with us, they might have other vendors doing different things, but they've got 10 different systems, 10 different vendors. None were meant to be interoperable. We basically ingest all that into one common architecture. And so that way you have one app and you can access different parts of your business seamlessly with a swipe of a thumb.
What is the biggest roadblock right now? If you don't succeed,
Yeah.
why would that have happened?
Great question. So one of the things I used to always ask as a VC was, how are you changing customer behavior? And it wasn't, they always entrepreneurs always think that's a softball question. Anybody here starting a company that gets asked that, it's a trick question. Changing customer behavior is hard. And it takes a long time. And there's a marketing component to it. There's a customer education component to it. It's why, I'm really proud of what the stock is doing. We've had to build a community around Phunware and the stock to educate people, what we do. And so if we did fail, it's because people don't know that this is even possible. You see it in Minority Report, where Tom Cruise is walking down the mall and all the advertisements are personalizing to him, and it looks super cool, but that's easy to do in CGI. You don't see it in the real world because it's really, really hard. And I know because we've delivered it. And so we can now do that, but instead of scanning a retina, we can do it with your phone. And so a lot of people, our decision makers, they don't know to go to the internet and Google, real world Minority Report company. They don't know, hey, I need to make an investment in hardware, software, firmware. Oh, I also need to make an investment in Phunware. So we've got to get out there and tell them. We've got to tell them that not only is it possible, but it's actually affordable. and here's how it's going to change your business, and here's how it's going to drive, profitability for your business. And so that's incumbent upon us. That takes time. It's like Uber, trying to explain to people to get into a stranger's car. That was really tough for a few years.
Yeah.
Now people they don't think twice about it. So in a few years, everything that you buy will be Amazon enabled, and every experience you have will be Phunware enabled.
Um, Pat brings up a good point in the chat about small businesses. What is the cost here for the end customer? Because you mentioned things like the NFL, these billion and major hospitals, these 100 million/billion-dollar corporations can easily afford to take a risk on
Yeah.
building a new app like yours. But for the mid tier and for the SMBs out there, the small medium sized businesses, I mean, is there a path for them here, or are you just is this not for them?
Yeah, no, there really is. So our core customer, our target customer, is still going to always be kind of the Fortune 500s of that ilk. However, think about you showed it just a second ago. The city of Pasadena. Obviously, cities don't have huge budgets because we've built our mobile application the way we do. We have light versions, pun intended. We have smaller versions that you can actually, give you a lot of the features, but we can give it to you at a better price point. So Smart City and our advocacy solution, our political vertical, both of those can come at different price points. More like $5,000-$10,000 a month, something that can actually be affordable. And then what we're doing, which is really cool, and this is where Phunwallet comes into play. We're going to use Phunwallet to actually address a lot of the SMB market. So think about OpenTable. You have OpenTable who can do reservations. They can give you the features of a native application, but all you have is a profile on their application. Phunwallet is already pre-integrated with all of the features that we deliver to Fortune 500 companies. But if you don't need an application, like you're a restaurant or a smaller business, but you want all the engagement features in an upcoming release, you'll now be able to establish a profile in Phunwallet that'll look like you have your own mobile application. And now you'll be able to access all our architecture, which that's really cool. I'm really excited about that.
If there are any questions for Randall, you have a couple minutes to get your questions in, and then we're gonna wrap it up. And I feel like we always do have questions for you, Randall, whenever you come on, because as you know, and I know, as we all know, I mean, the stock has this giant community behind it.
No.
And I'm sort of, frankly, it confuses me why any stock would have any community behind it. Not you, it's any
Yeah.
stock, but you've got these people that have gathered around, rallied behind your company and your stock. Um, I guess,
Thank you.
what do you?
Honestly, I'm gonna say thank you to them first off. You look at like what happened just yesterday. You announce war. Stock drops.
Yeah.
Precipitously. Down to I think around 220, and then immediately rebounds. The minute markets open, people are like, oh my god, this is a steal, and that's because of the community. And
What?
I think what a lot
Yeah.
of CEOs, COOs don't do, they have too much of an ivory tower mentality. They're not. Maybe they're not as excited about their company as we are. Maybe they're not doing something that can kind of fascinate and excite people. But I would encourage every leader to be as transparent as you can within the rules and within the regulations, but be accessible. I think people appreciate that we try to be as accessible as we can. You can't follow just a name or a picture on Twitter. People want to follow people, and we try to do that.
Why do you suppose, though, that your stock has just gathered this massive following?
I would say because we've been doing this for a long time. There's some people who were in Phunware for 2 years, just holding the line, being patient, believing where we were going to go in the vision. I still get emails from them saying, I've gotten multiple screenshots of seven-figure balances, last October. Like, last October was the greatest day of my life. Like, you literally, from going from $1 to $24 in a day, I'll never be able to thank you enough. Like, my parents can retire now. And that's awesome. That's a great feeling. And so, I think people, have been around, we've been building this community for a long time. It's not like an overnight success story. We have had a horrible time going public. We didn't take any money when we went public. We got kind of screwed by the SEC, and we ended up having a bunch of warrants get dumped on our stock that crashed the stock price. And we've been fighting our way back out of that, and it made the company better. made the company stronger. But I think people resonate with kind of our irreverence, but also our passion and our ability to kind of see this through. We've been through it all. And so I think, we're absolutely going to be successful, and we're in it with all of our shareholders. We all have significant skin in the game. None of us are walking away. We've been doing this for a decade together. And the best is yet to come, 100%.
Umair in the chat is asking about your cash reserves and how comfortable you are and the potential need to raise any money should that be a thing.
Yeah, very comfortable. So, when we kind of the guidance that we kind of put out into Q4, and then we'll report, earnings and kind of towards the end of March here. So coming around to be able to talk about the full year. But, we obviously told people that we expected to do 100% growth in revenue in Q4. We had a $60 million war chest. And so, I think that was always a concern in the past, was the balance sheet. Now that's not a concern at all. We have, operational runway without the need for any new financing events. We have an ATM in place. We always do. I think that's just good housekeeping. So if a stock did run to $24 again, you can take advantage of that kind of liquidity in the market. But we have no intention of doing any institutional financing, any dilution events in that manner whatsoever, just because we don't need to.
ATM just being at the market offering, just so
Correct.
Is there a shelf offering where you
Correct.
reserve the right to issue new shares should
Yep.
the market give you the chance to?
I always forget. I love the education, and that's why we had the $60 million that we reported last. Was back in October when it had all that liquidity in the market, we were able to address all the balance sheet concerns that people had. So I think we're at an inflection point for sure. Absolutely.
Well, last one here, and I know you know this is coming from Eduardo. Is PHUN involved with the Truth app?
Love these questions. So, a lot of people don't realize, the reason why I always tell people we did all of Fox's mobile application portfolio is because nobody knows that. We did the design, we did the program management, the development, all the support and maintenance, Live Nation, Fox Sports, everything that you saw with Fox was Phunware, and we couldn't talk about any of it. And so, no matter what, we will always adhere to the confidentiality agreements on all of our deals with all of our customers and respect that. But we will always try to be as transparent as possible when we can come to the table with how we get involved with companies, when we get involved with companies. But you'll notice with Carrier as well, we have a massive indirect channel partnership with $20 billion Carrier traded on the New York Stock Exchange, and we don't talk about that either. We don't put that on any press. We're working with them to talk about kind of the go-to-market around that. So we'll always be respectful. I know it's kind of annoying, but we absolutely plan to play in a big way in the political sphere. And we want to enable, tech-enabled politics. Really what we want to do is be able to engage voters better and engage constituencies with the right information. And so we'll announce more on how we're doing that as the year progresses.
A great answer, non-answer. Randall Crowder is the COO of Phunware. Randall, it is always a pleasure. Man, how's your chest doing, by the way? You doing all good there?
It's good. I would tell people if you ever, rip your, if you ever if you ever rip your chest off the humerus, absolutely get it surgically repaired, because it is the way to go. Right now, I feel good.
All right, great. Thanks for joining us today, Randall.
Thanks a lot, Spence.